Breaking news from the Vatican today has sent shockwaves around the world. A moment of global mourning, reflection, and reverence has arrived as the Holy See confirmed the passing of Pope Francis, the first Latin American pontiff in the history of the Roman Catholic Church. At 88 years of age, this remarkable spiritual leader breathed his last this morning at 7:35, leaving behind a profound legacy that transcended continents, challenged tradition, and transformed hearts across the globe. Just one day before his passing, he appeared before thousands of worshippers in St. Peter's Square, his voice weathered by age but still filled with warmth and hope, wishing everyone a joyful and blessed Easter. It was a final gesture of love from a man who spent his life serving not just the Church, but all of humanity, especially the forgotten, the broken, and the marginalized. His Holiness Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio, was not just a leader of the Catholic Church. He was a shepherd of the people, a relentless advocate for peace, justice, humility, and compassion. His death marks the end of an era and the beginning of deep reflection for a church and a world grappling with rapid change, conflict, and division. The formal announcement was delivered with heavy sorrow by Cardinal Kevin Farrell, who will now preside over the sacred and secretive conclave to elect the next pontiff. His voice solemn and respectful, Cardinal Farrell declared, "Dear brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis at 7:35 this morning. The Bishop of Rome, Francis, has returned to the house of the Father." It was a message that rang out not only across Vatican City, but throughout cathedrals, parishes, and homes around the world. Church bells tolled, candles were lit, and tears fell in silent prayer. For Pope Francis was not merely a religious figure, he was a global moral compass, a man who dared to challenge the powerful, comfort the afflicted, and bring the light of faith into the darkest corners of human existence. Born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in December of 1936, Jorge Bergoglio was the son of Italian immigrants and grew up in a modest working-class neighborhood. He experienced the struggles of poverty firsthand. Before entering the seminary, he worked as a janitor, a chemistry technician, and even briefly as a nightclub bouncer, a humble and colorful prelude to a life destined for spiritual greatness. These early experiences shaped his unique perspective on service and social justice, anchoring his belief in the dignity of labor and the need to walk side by side with the poor and oppressed. As a young Jesuit priest, he rose through the ranks during one of Argentina's darkest periods, the military dictatorship of the 1970s. It was a time marked by torture, repression, and the disappearance of thousands. In this context, his actions were scrutinized, with some accusing him of being too close to the regime. Yet over time, many recognized that Bergoglio had navigated those dangerous waters with deep pastoral care, helping many in secret while maintaining the Church's fragile position of survival. In 1998, he became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, where he became known for taking public transportation, living in a small apartment rather than the luxurious Archbishop's palace, and cooking his own meals. He was beloved by the people for his humility, simplicity, and unwavering devotion to the teachings of Christ. His elevation to the papacy in March 2013 shocked the world. He was the first Jesuit, the first non-European in over 1,200 years, and the first pope from the Americas. But more than that, he chose a name that immediately revealed his heart: Francis, in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, a saint known for renouncing wealth, embracing poverty, and loving creation. This choice of name was more than symbolic. It was a mission statement. From his first moments as pope, he rejected the trappings of power. He declined to wear the traditional red papal shoes. He refused the ornate gold cross. He stepped out onto the Vatican balcony in simple white robes and asked the crowd below not to cheer for him, but to pray for him. The tone of his papacy was instantly clear. This was a pope who would lead by example, not with grandeur, but with grace. His first act as pontiff was small yet profound. He went to the hotel where he had stayed before the conclave and paid his own bill. That humble act made headlines and touched millions. In the years that followed, these small gestures became the hallmark of his papacy. He washed the feet of prisoners, including women and Muslims. He hugged disfigured children. He visited leper colonies, refugee camps, and war zones. Wherever he went, he brought the presence of Christ to the least of these. He called on priests to leave the comfort of their parishes and go out to the peripheries, to the slums, the shelters, the battlefields of human suffering. His famous words still echo, "I want a church that is poor and for the poor." But Pope Francis was not only a man of heart, he was also a man of intellect, a formidable thinker who tackled the great challenges of our time with theological depth and political courage. In 2015, he released his groundbreaking encyclical Laudato Si', calling for urgent action on climate change. He made it clear that environmental degradation and global inequality were linked, stating bluntly that the earth is our common home and that its destruction is an offense against both God and the poor. That same year, he became the first pope in history to address the United States Congress. Standing before one of the world's most powerful institutions, he spoke not of wealth or politics, but of justice, compassion, and care for the vulnerable. He honored figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Dorothy Day, and with tears in the eyes of many lawmakers, he implored them to protect human life, defend the family, and preserve the planet. He was not afraid to confront even the darkest corners of the church. The Catholic Church's long and painful history of sexual abuse scandals weighed heavily on his papacy. While some believed he did not go far enough, others acknowledged his unprecedented steps. He met with survivors. He apologized publicly. He convened a global summit on the crisis and called on church leaders to listen to victims, to stop hiding behind silence and secrecy. In terms of doctrine, Pope Francis walked a delicate line between tradition and progress. His statements often sparked debate. His remark, "Who am I to judge?" when asked about gay priests became one of the most quoted and controversial moments of his tenure. While church teachings on sexuality and gender remained largely unchanged, his tone was radically different, one of openness, listening, and pastoral care. On issues like abortion and euthanasia, he remained conservative, but his approach was always to speak with compassion rather than condemnation. He called for a culture of encounter, a world where we engage with those different from ourselves, where dialogue replaces division and mercy triumphs over judgment. As the years wore on, health challenges began to take a toll. He suffered from mobility issues and was hospitalized several times, yet he remained deeply active, traveling across the globe, from Brazil to the Philippines, from Africa to Iraq, often against medical advice. Millions gathered to see him, breaking attendance records for public masses. He embraced the poor in favelas and refugee camps, offered comfort to war-torn communities, and always pointed people toward hope. When asked why he didn't retire like his predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI, he said simply that he still had work to do. And so, until the very end, he did that work. Greeting the faithful on Easter Sunday, his final public act, was not just a tradition, it was a parting gift. A final wave of the hand, a final smile, a final blessing from a man who had given everything. Today, tributes are pouring in from around the world. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama said in a joint statement, "He was the rare leader who made us want to be better people." In his humility and gestures, embracing the sick, ministering to the homeless, washing the feet of young prisoners, he reminded us that we are all bound by moral obligations to God and one another. As the Church now prepares for the next conclave, questions arise about what direction it will take. Will the new pontiff continue Francis' mission of global solidarity, ecological stewardship, and radical compassion? Or will the pendulum swing back toward conservatism and tradition? What is clear is that Francis reshaped the Catholic Church in ways that will resonate for generations. He internationalized the College of Cardinals, giving voice to the global South, Africa, Asia, and Latin America, regions where Catholicism is growing and vibrant. He shifted the center of gravity away from the old power centers of Europe toward the margins of the world. His death comes at a time of global crisis. Wars rage, democracies falter, climate change accelerates, and inequality widens. In this moment, the world needs voices like his, voices of peace, voices of humility, voices of hope. His departure leaves a void not just in the Vatican, but in the collective conscience of humanity. But his spirit lives on. In the homeless shelters, the migrant boats, the prison cells, and the forests he fought to protect, his message remains: be not afraid. Love your neighbor. Care for the earth. Welcome the stranger. Serve the poor. Pope Francis, a man who redefined what it meant to be a pope, has returned to the house of the Father. May he rest in peace, and may we carry forward his legacy. Thank you for watching. For more heartfelt stories, breaking news, and in-depth reflections from around the world, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more updates. Let's keep the conversation going and the spirit of compassion alive.